Okay, so quick video on how to track your macros using MyFitnessPal. So I thought this would be a really useful video to make, because once you get your head around tracking your macros, once you learn how to use MyFitnessPal, it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to your nutrition. We pretty much all know that nutrition is a massive factor when it comes to achieving any sort of physique-based goal, whether it's burning body fat or building muscle. So if we can make life a little bit easier when it comes to our nutrition, I say we should. And using MyFitnessPal and learning how to track your macros is going to make life a little bit easier in my opinion. So I hope you find some value in the video. Hope you like the video. If you do, make sure you give it a like and a share, and we'll get straight into it. Yeah? Let's do it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna need to do is open up MyFitnessPal. And don't worry if mine looks a little bit different to yours. I've got my diary set up slightly different, but it doesn't really matter. Anything I show you on the screen now, you're gonna be able to do on yours. Different phones look slightly different, so like I said, just don't worry about that. First thing we're gonna need to do is set up our diary so we can start tracking our macros. So what you need to do is click on the three little dots at the bottom where it says more, click on that. Then you're going to go to goals, and then you're going to go to calorie and macronutrient goals. I'm going to click that. So that's going to bring up this screen here. Now on this screen here you can see you've got your calories and your macronutrients. So this is where we're going to enter our targets for the day. And just bear in mind is as I'm taking you through this video, I'm making it with the assumption that you already know what your macros need to be. If you don't, there's a few different websites you can go to, or the best bet is probably hiring a coach or speaking to somebody who knows what they're talking about. But once you've got them goals set, all you need to do is click on calories at the top and enter your calorie goal for the day, whatever that is. So I'm just going to leave it at 2000 for now. And then below you've got your carbs, proteins and fats. So what we're going to do is click on those. And this is the important bit really. You want to adjust this to get it as close to whatever your macro targets are. Now with MyFitnessPal, in the free version, you can only do it by percentage. I find it's fine just using the percentages, it gets you close enough. You're not always going to get it bang on to the exact number that you've been set, but you can get it close enough, and that's fine. If you want to be perfect, you can get the paid version of MyFitnessPal. I personally wouldn't recommend it, and then you can do it to the gram. But like I said, it's fine with the free version. So all you need to do now is adjust these percentages at the bottom, and that's going to basically change the number at the top to whatever it is you need it to be, and you just need to make sure at the bottom it equals 100%. So again, I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. Click tick, and then we can move on and start adding food to our diary. So to start adding food to our diary, we just need to go back, click on the diary tab at the bottom, and let's enter our breakfast. So let's say we're going to have peanut butter on toast for breakfast. So all we'll need to do is click on the add food tab there, click that, and you've got two options for searching for foods. So you've got the search bar at the top, and then you've got the barcode scanner. What I'll show you to do first is use the search bar. So if we click here, and obviously we're going to need bread for our toast. So what I will say is when you're searching for foods, it's usually best to search for the brand as well, and then that way it's more likely to bring up the right information. So I'm using Hovis bread, so I'm going to put Hovis wholemeal bread, and mine's the medium sliced. So again, just put in the best description, because it's going to bring up the right information there. So straight away mine's there at the top. Whenever you search for food, it's going to bring up a list of different foods here. Just search through them to see which one is the closest to what you're actually searching for. But 9 times out of 10, the one at the top will be the right one. So I'm just going to click there, and that's going to give me the nutritional information for that particular slice of bread. Now you can see underneath you've got serving size and number of servings. So I'm going to click on number of servings because I'm going to have 2 slices. I'm going to change that for 2, and now it's going to bring up the information for 2 slices of bread. All I need to do now is click tick, add. So now we need to add our peanut butter. So we're just going to click on add food again. This time I'm going to use the barcode scanner. So I'm just going to click the barcode scanner at the top. And this is going to bring up like a scanning tool. So all you need to do with this now is I've got my peanut butter that I'm going to use. So I've got this Aldi peanut butter here. You just need to find the barcode on the screen. So the barcode's there, straight away it's found it. And then there, it's brought up the nutritional information for that particular peanut butter. Again, just double check on the screen that it's the right one that it brings up, because sometimes it can bring up the wrong food. So yeah, just be careful when you're scanning foods. So on the screen now you can see it's got the nutrition information, but that's for 100 grams of peanut butter. I'm not going to eat 100 grams of peanut butter. So what we need to do is we need to click on serving size, change that to 1 gram, and then underneath where it says number of servings, if we click there, and we can change that to 40 grams of peanut butter. And now at the top there, now we've got the nutritional information for 40 grams of peanut butter. So like the bread, we just click tick, add, and now that's added to our diary. So now we've got our peanut butter and toast added to the diary for our breakfast. So if we just scroll down to the bottom now, you've got this little box at the bottom that says nutrition. Click on here, this is going to give us an overview of what we've eaten for the day and how far away we are from our targets that we've set. So as you can see, of the 175 grams of protein that I've set myself, I've had 18 grams, 35 grams of carbs of the 175 grams, and 21 grams of fat of the 67 grams of fat that I've set myself. Now you can see the blue bars as well underneath your macros, and again that's just showing you how much you've had and how much you've got left for the day. So as you add foods to your diary, it's worth checking in on here to see how far away you are from your daily targets. And the idea is that by the end of the day, you're hitting those goals and you're not going over them and you're not going under them. You don't have to worry about getting them bang on. With my clients, I usually say to try and stay within 5 grams of each macronutrient. And the more you track and the more you get used to adding foods, it becomes a lot easier to get closer and closer to those targets. So if I go to yesterday, if I click the top here, you can see that I've had a full day of eating. So if I go back to the screen that's got all the food on, you can see that I've added all my food for the day, whatever foods I've had. So this is just an example. And then if I go down to the bottom again to the nutrition tab, you can see that of this 175 grams of protein that I've set myself, I've now had 176. So I've stayed within that 5 gram margin that I set myself. Same for carbs and same for fats. So like I said, as you start adding foods to your diary, that blue bar will just get closer and closer and the numbers will add up. And again, it's just going to allow you to hit that target on a daily basis. Again, what you'll notice on this screen is that you've got your things like fibre, sugar, saturated fat content, all that kind of thing. Now the main thing that's going to determine whether you achieve your goal for fat loss or building muscle is going to be hitting your protein, carbs and fats on the nutrition side of things. Things like fibre, sugar content, saturated fats do matter to some extent, but unless your coaches give you some specific guidelines, to start off with, all I'd worry about is hitting your macro targets. Obviously from predominantly healthy foods, but like I said, don't worry too much about the other bits of information on this screen. Also, another quick thing to know is that a lot of people ask me, I've hit my macro goals for the day, but it's put me over my calories, or vice versa. They've hit the macro targets for the day, but they're under the calories. The thing is with MyFitnessPal or any sort of food database is it's never 100% spot on. All I say to people is hit your macros and you're hitting your calorie targets. Your macronutrients add up to your calories. So if you've set yourself 175 grams of protein, same for carbs, and the 67 grams of fat, we know from what we put in the screen originally, that's going to equal 2,000 calories. Now, based on whatever the information is in the database for whatever particular food you've put in, it might be that it's put you over your calories slightly, but you've hit your macronutrients bang on. Just focus on hitting your macros. If you've hit your macros, you've hit your calories, so don't stress about going over. So one thing I did forget to mention is that when you add a food, so if we go to add a food again, you can see before you even search for a food or before you've scanned the food, you have this list of foods here. So these are the foods that I eat frequently, or the foods that I use frequently. So the more you use MyFitnessPal, MyFitnessPal starts to remember foods that you use regularly. So again, that's just another element that makes it a little bit easier for when you're tracking. So you don't necessarily have to search for a food every time you use it. If you have porridge every day for breakfast and a certain brand of porridge, that'll come up. Or for example, if I have, I use my protein, whey protein. If I search that in here now, if I just put my, straight away it's going to bring up the my protein that I use regularly. That's just another quick thing to know. that it's not that hard to track once you get your head around it. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover. Once you get your head around using it, it's a really, really useful tool to use. It makes life a lot easier when it comes to tracking your nutrition. The more and more you use it and the more you start adding foods in, the easier it becomes, and it just becomes habit. So don't stress thinking that it's going to be really hard or that it's an effort. Honestly, it's really, really easy to use. Obviously with certain foods, so like you saw when I put the peanut butter in, you're going to have to weigh it using a scale. So what you do is, obviously you put your toast in MyFitnessPal, you put your peanut butter on the scales, weigh out 40 grams, which is what I had on that example, put that on your toast, and then you can put the 40 grams into MyFitnessPal. So that's another thing that you do have to bear in mind, is you do have to make sure you weigh in your foods. Otherwise, the information that you're putting into your diary isn't correct, it's just guessing. And the whole point of tracking your macros is being in complete control of what you're eating. I'd also say that when it comes to tracking macros, it's usually best to fill out your diary the night before or the day before you've actually eaten the foods. So what I recommend to my clients is decide what foods you're going to eat the next day, punch that into MyFitnessPal, and then make sure that it adds up to the macro targets that whatever I've set you or whatever you've set yourself. And that way you know that if you eat them particular foods, you're going to hit your targets for that day. If you track and go, you're more likely to end up going over your macros or struggling to hit certain macros, or the ratios might be a bit off. Don't get me wrong, there are days when I track and go, like I said, if I'm out and about, but it just makes life a lot easier if you put it into the diary the day before or prior to eating the food. It's basically like the equivalent of having a meal plan. You're putting the foods in, and then you're just following whatever you put in there. It just makes life a lot easier when it comes to things like prep. You get up in the morning, prep the foods that you've put in there, set them out, and then just eat them for the day, and you know you're on track. So that's pretty much the video, guys. Hope it's helped. Hope you found some value in it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, once you get your head around tracking your macros, and once you get your head around using MyFitnessPal, it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to your nutrition. If you liked the video or you found it helpful, please do give it a like and a share. Or if you think somebody else might find a bit of value in it, feel free to tag them in the video, and I'll see you in the next video.